Guilt, but only to the point of wanting to change. So, one of the most misunderstood aspects, I think, of guilt is the idea that we need to feel guilty and we need to always feel guilty so that we remember the mistakes that we've made and so that we don't repeat them. In my clinical opinion, that can be pretty detrimental to a person's self esteem in the long term. And some people even confuse guilt with humility. So I've talked to a lot of people who think that, in order to be humble, that means they need to feel guilty about what they've done for who knows how long. But I want you to stop and think about it for a minute. What is the purpose of guilt? Is it just so that you don't do it again? Is it so that when you feel guilty, that shows remorse and then you can get forgiveness from the other person or people or whatever? But what if I were to say that guilt and its purpose could also be so that we just have the desire to change? And this gets into the idea of the difference between guilt and shame. Guilt is very motivating for people to want to change. So it's good to have guilt or to feel guilt when we do something wrong. It doesn't feel good, but it's good to have that, but only to the point that we want to make a change in our life. Anything beyond that is just beating up ourselves. And if you really think about it, what good does feeling guilty about something do beyond the desire to change? All that's going to do is make people think that they're bad people. They're going to identify with that behavior, and it's going to be part of themselves. It's going to be part of their identity. So then it becomes, I didn't just do something bad, I am something bad. And that's shame. So I was going to do a whole nother video on it, but it's not that complicated, really. Shame is the idea that you are what your behaviors are, and that you are a broken person, and that it becomes your identity. Guilt is my behavior is bad or wrong, and it makes me want to change. But I'm saying, that's it. Just leave it there. Stop at the point of which you want to change, when you genuinely want to change. That's when the guilt ends, and that's when you get to a point where you just go, yeah, that's all I need. That's all I need, and it's my behavior that's bad. I'm not necessarily a bad person, and then just leave it there. I mean, if you go any further with it, somebody tell me what good that does to continue to go further with it. Now, I'm not saying don't forget about the things that you've done that are negative so that you remember them and so that you don't repeat them. I'm just saying don't hold on to the guilt and beat yourself up beyond the point of wanting to change. And it really makes sense when you really dig into it. But I know a lot of people that have a really hard time with this idea because they just feel like they need to continuously beat themselves up and in order for them to feel bad about what they did and that they don't repeat it. And that's just a fallacy. It's just in my view, it's just a mental health tactic or trick, psyche trick for people to get into a point of spiraling down into the depths of misery and woe. So don't do it. It's that simple. Acknowledge it, understand it, and then get to a point where you go, okay, I felt this amount of guilt. I don't need to feel anymore. I am good to go from here on out. So anyways, I just want to hear from you guys. Let me know what you think about. Do you guys have a hard time with the idea of guilt and just feeling enough guilt to want to change and then stopping? And if so, if it's hard to stop feeling guilty about something, tell me why. Tell me why it's so hard for you to not continuously feel guilty about something.